Welcome to our Monday night session. It's the 9th of May. Looking outside, it's a bit overcast, and I'm so happy that we have our guests from KPMG. We have Mr. Shamlin Mudley joining us and Mr. COD Ralafania. I hope I pronounced that correctly. All right. So, students, we are very lucky that they normally recruit students from UKZN, and today, I convinced them to join us at DUT to see what they can offer us. So I'd like it if you participate, my students, use this opportunity to ask them questions. I realize, Shamlin, you can stop. They can stop you anywhere, huh, Shamlin? If that's okay, or COD. And one positive I want outcome from this is that we get one of our students working at KPMG, right? I'll be so proud and I'll be so happy. But I don't want to take any limelight out here. I have our head of department, Dr. Lulu Jali, who replied at 3:17 a.m. this morning, Shamlin, just to let you know how happy and excited she was. So, Dr. Lulu Jali, over to you.
Thanks, Prinavin. Good evening, gentlemen. I think there is no lady. I'm not sure, but you are. I'm really very excited to have you. If it wasn't because of Dr. Prinavin, we wouldn't have you. So you are welcome to the Department of Auditing and Taxation. Particularly to the postgraduate students whom you'll be presenting to. And I'm very excited that when we're designing these programs for the advanced diploma in taxation and internal auditing, as well as the postgrad modules, we were wanted to expose the students to the IT environment, to the digital transformation, so that they will not be strangers when they join the real world. Well, some of the students are not really sure like what they need to do. So I believe and I really trust that today their minds will change, and then they will know the importance of the IT, as well as the integration of the modules that we present to them. Is not about, because to their minds they still think of, oh, now I'm doing taxation, I'm doing internal auditing, I'm doing management accounting. They don't see the bigger picture of integration of these modules that we are presenting to them. So for them, this presentation, definitely it will have to change their minds, and I believe it will change their mind, because when they were supposed to, some of them, not all of them, I'm not sure whether this group now there is a module in their advanced diploma which is called advanced computer audit. So it has got ERP, of which they had to take that opportunity. But some of them, I remember that I had to sign so many of the deregistration of that module because they didn't see the need. And when they joined the postgrad, then they had no choice of doing the information technology. They had to do it. So I don't know how they feel about it if they didn't do that module, because they will have a background of what is really happening in the IT, because the lower modules for their diploma doesn't have much of IT. So, but now we wanted them to prepare them for the real world, so that they will know, because everything now, and if even before COVID, the industry had already started to talk of digital transformation. So we were just behind a little bit, but with COVID, things changed completely. So I'm hoping that the students will grasp this opportunity and take any other chance that is given to them. And I hope at the end of the day, guys, that there will be, as like Prinavin has said, at least one student that is excelling, that you will be able to take and put under your wings at the end of the day. Thank you so much for coming and spending your time. I know that everybody is busy, but your sacrifice for this evening is really appreciated. Thank you so much to my colleagues, Dr. Prinavin and Dr. Asoken, who work so hard to put the students first at all times. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Jolly. And I don't think it's just one student. I want them to take more than one student. That was the minimum, Shamlin and COD. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Jolly. I appreciate your time as well. Dr. Suleiman, you should be ready with a long CV of Shamlin to introduce. And but try and keep it short, please, because the students have already seen Shamlin's CV and his profile, the one that we did last year on a duty. So over to you, Dr. Suleiman.
Thank you, Dr. Govender, and good afternoon or good evening, everyone, and especially to Shamlin and COD, my former colleagues over at KPMG. It's nice to see you guys again. As Dr. Govender mentioned, we have profiled Mr. Shamlin Mudli at DUT last year, and to introduce him to the student is quite a taxing task that I've been given, because he really does have a very lengthy CV with all sorts of plaudits over the course of the years. Currently, Shamlin is a partner in digital consulting at KPMG South Africa. Previously, he's headed up software asset management at Standard Bank. He holds a host of portfolios and he's driven a lot of initiatives through KPMG, and he's working on multiple massive projects, both locally and internationally. He, in terms of his studies, is pursuing his MBA at the moment, which he has followed from doing his diploma in IT through DUT. And just as a summary, Shamlin is one of the real shining beacons and shining examples of what DUT students can accomplish in the professional and business space. And I would hope you feel as inspired as I do when just looking at how he has progressed and what he has done coming from the DUT ranks and going forward through his career. Shamlin, thank you very much for taking the time out today, and COD as well from your team. And I hope that you find our students fun to engage with, and I'm sure they're looking forward to whatever insights and expertise you share with them. Over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Suleiman and Dr. Suleiman. Thank you, Dr. Mudli, Dr. Govender, and Dr. Lulu as well. We, as COD, we can hear we are in very esteemed company, which is fantastic. So it's really the honor is ours to be presenting to you. We thank you very much for that. And perhaps, you know, before I'll start off by saying I'm a proud alumni of DUT, and I graduated in the year 2002 with a National Diploma in Information Technology. And, you know, in the write-up, that if you have read that, there's various reasons as to why somebody would choose to study at a what was then a technikon versus a university. And I'll tell you this much, that it's no lesser skills-based and a qualification that you are coming out with in a DUT versus UKZN versus a UCT or whatever it may be. It's how you apply that skills into the workplace that you have gained. And that's really what sets you apart and drives your career. Your qualification that you are working on now is your foot in the door into the workplace, but it's your work ethic and how you apply the learnings that you are getting at these institutions that's going to differentiate you and help you grow your career. So as was mentioned, I'm a partner at KPMG within our digital consulting practice, and naturally, you know, technology is at the heart of what we discuss with our clients, what we advise on, and what we consult on. So just to touch maybe on the grad program as a start, we do take in grads every year. And, I can't remember that we've got CVs in the recent past. It's not, something that we go looking to specific institutions. It's who applies to us. And I can't recall that we've had students from DUT apply previously, or if they were, perhaps it was filtered out. But like Dr. Govender said, we would love to take in students from DUT as well. There's a reason why we're having this conversation with you in the first place, is because COD and I were speaking last week, and we are talking about how we grow skills in the SAP space, and COD leads our SAP consulting practice. And we were, and I was reminded of my conversation with Dr. Govender, where he spoke about, the SAP certifications and content that he's bringing to this class. And I discussed it with COD and I said, let's reach out to DOT and see if we can speak to the students and see how that skills development is going and whether there's opportunities to take in students from the university. From DUT. And that's where it started, and we thank the institution for the opportunity to speak to you now. And what we want to do, as part of this session, is not to speak to you about SAP and educate you on that and go into any details related to that. COD is certainly going to paint some context as to where the world is going and why the skills that you are learning are relevant. But it's not necessarily, today's conversation is not necessarily about that. For one, I'd like to point out straight away that the opportunity that you have in this course that you have got at DUT at the moment, learning the skills that you are learning through, practical SAP experience, it's S4HANA, as well as the opportunity, I'm sure Mr. Governor has spoken to you about, the opportunity to certify, and I'd really like to keep following up on that. Those are really current, real world skills that are required at this point in time. It's a really great opportunity that US students have with the institution. I think it's very forward thinking, and it's solving real world problems that clients have, or we say clients, call it your future employers have out there, and our customers or our clients. And why do we say this? So you would have heard Dr. Jolly talk about digital transformation, okay, and how it's accelerated since the onset of COVID. Not that it wasn't there pre-COVID, it's just that it's accelerated at a pace that the market could not keep up with in terms of developing skills. So what that means is that you now have a skills gap globally, not just in South Africa, not within a certain industry like banking or mining or telco or other, not within a continent, but the world. There's a skills gap in relation to digital consulting skills or digital skills. And that's because the world has moved on so much in a short space of time, and obviously the skills couldn't keep up with it. And what does a skills gap mean? It means that organizations are having to retrain their own staff at a faster pace, and these individuals that sit within companies are starting from base zero as well. What it means to you is that you are able to leapfrog a couple of years where you would have had to gain experience in an organization over multiple years. That same level of experience that you are potentially getting now, exposure, that's potentially something that a person with 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of experience has to get from the ground up again, because it's technologies, it's platforms, it's solutions that they've never interfaced with before. So it's almost like what I call a leveler, that in industry now, we've got youngsters coming in and are owning the market in terms of skills because they are born in that world, versus somebody having to be retrained that is set in their ways in this is how we do things, these are technologies I worked on, and this is how I did things for the last 20 years. All of a sudden that changes, and that opportunity is there for students to be able to gain those skills quickly within the institutions that you're working on, and more so to leverage those opportunities to certify. And coming into the workplace in a grad program, bringing in that certification straight up, that's going to put you one up over your peers that are exiting from other institutions. I can tell you that for a fact now. Having hands-on experience, having worked in some of these platforms, those are, differentiators. So I think, my last comment on that is consider it a privilege in terms of the course that you are doing now and the exposure that you are getting and the opportunity that I guess DUT and SAP jointly are providing you for the certifications. And I'd love to continue following up with Dr. Gava and Konde, as I said, to see how many students have taken that up. Just another little point around the skills gap that we spoke about. And this is not an opportunity for you in South Africa alone. This is an opportunity for you to spread your wings and take your skills to any part of the world. It's a big challenge that we are facing as organizations in South Africa, where a lot of our skills are leaving abroad, leaving a bigger hole and a bigger skills gap in South Africa. But equally, we must acknowledge that it's an opportunity to uplift individuals, uplift communities, uplift people that would ordinarily not get jobs in South Africa to get jobs abroad. And we are seeing people by the thousands. In fact, the recent statistic I saw was as much as 23,000 people a month exiting the country, skilled workers going abroad. So, remote working, globalization, that is giving you a platform to not just work in South Africa, but to work abroad as well. Obviously, we want you to remain in South Africa. We want you to continue contributing towards closing the skills gap. But at the same token, for our youth, it's a fantastic opportunity to go abroad and get experience as well. Yeah, so I think I'm going to pause there, and maybe, Siori, you can put up the one slide. I'll do a bit of context, and then you can take it from there. So, one of the things that we have when the grads come into the workplace is they have this picture of the world, and we often take in, like information systems grads that have done a lot of data and analytics, and that's the type of skills we are looking for as well. And they come in and they think, when we talk about technology and digital transformation, it's about building something, it's about programming something, coding, etc. And that's one part of it. But the opportunity for you to grow and ply your trade and to see what the world is about is beyond technology alone. Technology sits as one part of digital transformation. And what Siori has got on screen here is essentially the 6 sort of what we call design layers that we look at when we focus on digital transformation for our clients. Now, I'm telling you this in the context of understanding what you are doing now and how you might transition into a work environment when you do go into a work environment. You can see technology is one layer there, which Siori, for purposes of this presentation, has named it S4 HANA, but that could be Microsoft, it could be Oracle, it could be IBM, it could be anything. Okay, but it's technology. When we look at the holistic view, you could go in and be working in an organization that helps with service delivery, just knowing how to be able to provide services to a within an organization or consult out as part of consulting firm. What does it look like? What are the services you provide? Who needs to be, if you look at people, who needs to be skilled up? What skills do you need? And that includes organizational change management, which I'm sure you would have covered as part of some of your courses. And that's a big aspect. Change management within organizations is massive. I spoke about people reskilling. That brings in anxieties, fears, opportunities, resistance. All of those aspects need to be dealt with in terms of how you would bring people on board, motivate them, and let them understand that there's a new world out there, there's a bigger picture. And that's the people aspect. Processes. You can go into an organization and your first job might be to document processes. And I hope somewhere along your courses you would have covered a little bit of business process mapping. If not, it's something else to look at. When you look at digital transformation, it's essentially automating processes. Underpinning any level of technology is a process that runs, and technology just brings in a level of automation on that. So functional processes is extremely important. Technology, obviously, you need that to deliver the various solutions. And we see that as an enabler. It's not the driver. It's not we lead with technology. Technology is merely the enabler, a base that underpins your transformation. Performance and insights, very, very relevant in the market. If you've got a passion for data and analytics, keep working on that. Keep getting better at it, because that can give you, a job from day one going out to the market. Everyone's looking for a data and analytics specialist. And then governance and controls. You could be going into a role that basically focuses on perhaps governance, risk management, financial management, etc. So there's a whole world out there that deals with digital transformation, and it's not just technology. So, I just wanted to paint this picture for you so that you understand that, when we talk technology, it's not coding, it's not implementing, it's not installing, it's not configuring. Digital transformation is all of this. And your opportunity in the workplace could relate to any one of these pillars that we have up here. Siori, I'll hand over to you, the real professional and the real skills in the room related to SAP. Thank you.
Thanks, Shamlin, and good afternoon, colleagues. So I'll just start with a little bit of background about myself and what we do within our business at KPMG. So I started my career in 2006, straight from varsity. And throughout my whole career, about 17 years now, I've been focusing on SAP implementations. I've done other ERPs such as Microsoft and IFS, but the bulk of my career has focused largely on SAP. And at the time I started my career, the old ECC6 system from SAP was just being released, and it has had a good run in the years leading up to recently now, when we start focusing on S4. And in this conversation, I will share with you some of the learnings that we have seen around in terms of working with big organizations. Why do organizations want to use SAP, and particularly S4HANA? And I'll also talk a little bit about why it is important that you consider learning and getting certified in the S4HANA platform. So, right now, the big conversation around SAP really is around S4HANA. And that's because, like I mentioned, there is a system that is now what we can call outgoing, ECC6, which the market is expecting that all companies currently running on old subsystems, they will transition to the new S4HANA platform by 2030. So that has created a lot of demand in the market, where a lot of companies are starting to plan and to think about how they are going to offboard from the old to the new. And that forms the bulk of the work that we do currently within our business. We advise companies on how do they plan for S4HANA implementations, helping them to do a roadmap of how you get there. For those that have started the journey, we also help them with an assurance of how is the project progressing. Is it according to the plans? Where can they improve? And we also provide implementation services where companies need assistance with the implementation of that. Another key aspect is that auditing is a large part of the work we do at KPMG. And so what we do is our SAP consulting business plays a very important complementary role to our audit teams. So when the auditing teams go to audit typically large companies, they would also need SAP expertise to uncover some of the information, analyze the data, and to take work forward. So really what we are seeing now as part of digital transformation is that your traditional audit team now includes various skills, which covers your core auditing as well as ERP and particularly SAP skills in this space. So that's really the gist of what we are doing at KPMG within digital consulting. When it comes to S4, S4HANA itself as a product that we are seeing companies looking forward to, I'll talk a little bit about why is it that companies want to use S4HANA. And you may have noticed in some of the SAP documentation that they refer to S4HANA as the digital core. So that essentially means in the bigger scheme of digital transformation, you need a central orchestrating platform that can leverage your data to cloud, to machine learning, intelligence, and all that. And S4HANA is well positioned to orchestrate all of these components, particularly for big organizations. So to put this into perspective, we have one slide here that I'll just bring up and just give you some highlights as to what is actually included in the S4HANA digital core, because in a lot of cases, when we talk S4HANA, people think only about the ERP process part of things. However, the way it has been architected, it includes quite a number of components that enable it to become the digital core of big companies. So really what you're looking at your screen now is some highlights of what make up the entire SAP S4HANA landscape within organizations. I will not go through each one of them, but just pick some highlights, starting with, for example, the in-memory processing. This is something that did not exist prior to S4HANA. So what SAP did here is they enabled a situation where companies can run large jobs and process massive data on-premise and in cloud in real time, where they can make decisions quickly and know what's going on. Where previously you would have had to schedule what we call the batch jobs that run overnight, and then in the morning you come and find results. That's a thing of the past. It's no longer there. So in-memory processing, very important to the theme of digital transformation. And S4HANA runs on a HANA database, which is in-memory processing. Again, I'll skip now and talk about Fiori and mobility. You know that there's fancy devices these days. So what happens is you don't want when your employees leave the office, then they leave the computer there and that's it. So what SAP has done in relation to S4HANA is that it is coupled with really nice and customer-focused applications, which are called Fiori apps. And these can be deployed to your mobile devices, such as your phones and your tablets and other field service devices. So your very senior people no longer have to be in the office to approve purchase orders or release budget and all those. They can do that while they are at the airport about to board a plane or busy in a board meeting and can quickly perform some tasks there. This is another aspect of the broader digital transformation conversation. Again, another point to talk about now is the core operations. This is where your ERP sit in. And the most important part here is to know that your traditional processes of how you run your business, such as within finance or HR or supply chain, those processes have been reinvented in line with the new technology that exists now. These processes take into consideration that you have real-time processing. You can transact in your mobile devices. They take into consideration that there are many ways you can achieve what you're trying to do. Things can be achieved faster than you previously would have had to. So a lot of what you see in the S/4HANA core ERP itself, the processes are really aligned to a mindset of digital transformation. So this really gives us a view of why companies would want to go for S/4HANA. I think a last part to note here is that you will hear people talk a lot about machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so on, but it's really not that easy to grasp what's actually going on there in terms of these aspects of technology. So what you can learn from a S/4HANA point of view is that it enables these latest technologies such as Internet of Things and big data and all that to be leveraged by companies that are running S/4HANA without worrying too much about writing algorithms and all that. They can simply leverage cloud technology that is readily available. And so a big mining company that is processing, let's say, dangerous goods or material, they are able to get a signal from a Internet of Things device that tells them that, okay, the temperature in room so-and-so has now gone significantly higher, or that there appears to be spillage in the room, etc. And that triggers people who are sitting in the office and busy with their work to then execute the follow-on processes that are needed, which have been triggered in the field by those devices. So again, you have to look at it in the context of the broader digital transformation conversation. So that's a view of what is included in S/4HANA. And I'll just bring down this slide now and talk a little bit about what are some of the things that keep driving companies to want to adopt S/4HANA. And then I'll talk a little bit about why it is important to certify in this space. So just in terms of why S/4HANA, the first thing that we have learned in this industry over the years is that when it comes to functionality of what companies need to do on a day-to-day basis, SAP is far ahead in comparison with other ERPs. So I'm talking about your Microsoft D365 or your Oracles, your IFS, your Sage, and so forth. Those ERPs, they can focus on certain aspects, let's say finance, or be good in supply chain, or be good with tax, etc. When it comes to S/4HANA, you get a suite of applications that is interconnected and addresses all sections of your company, including your productions, logistics, and all other aspects of big business. So that is why you find that in the market, big companies, they prefer to go with SAP. So if you go to the JSE and look at all those companies that are listed, most of them, they run SAP. Many multinational companies, they run SAP, and that's largely because it offers functionality that makes it easier to run the entire business in a single landscape, and so which is not easy to get in other ERPs. Okay, so that's really one of the driving forces. Again, if you look at the way S4HANA has been built now,
I
which
really
is what
hope in my bag.
I think someone is unmuted. Was it a question? Okay, it was just a technical moment. So another key reason why it is important to note why companies are going with S4HANA is that with the recent digital transformation way of preparing it, you now have a situation where SAP has worked with many big companies over the last 20 years or so to start putting together what we call leading practices. And that is what is a key theme at KPMG as well. We focus on you don't have to reinvent the wheel, trying to map out your processes and figure out how you should do them. No, because many companies have already been using SAP, and you are now able to, using the SAP cloud, able to see what is the best out there, what is the best way of doing certain processes, and then SAP enables you to simply plug and play those processes into your organization. So you get to quickly implement your solution without wasting time trying to investigate what could be the best way of doing it. What we've also learned is that the S4HANA platform, again, with its modern capabilities, it allows companies to analyze and plan the next steps quickly. Whereas previously, like I said, you had to run batch jobs and you would run around departments, have meetings, discuss and try to figure out what do we do next to adapt to real-time business needs. What S4HANA does is, because everything is available in real time, senior leadership within the business, they are able to immediately analyze the situation, then determine what next steps should be taken to take the business forward. Okay, then another point is with the recent pandemic, as COVID-19 hit, this really pushed technology costs quite high for many organizations. You needed to make sure that your people could work from home, provide devices for those that did not have them, provision additional space for VPN access and all that. So as you start to get costs going high from a technical point of view, you also need a way to automate a lot of activities so that this can be done quickly in the background automatically. So S4HANA comes with the ability to automate a lot of tasks which previously staff would have had to execute in the office. So where you've had hundreds of purchase requisitions that someone needed to look and see if this can be approved into purchase orders, now you are able to build in some rules within your S4HANA. It automates these things and approvals are done automatically. So that's another key aspect when it comes to automation, why companies go for it. And then the last point I want to talk about when it comes to the driver for S4HANA is the accelerated shift to the cloud. So you would know that in recent years, everyone is talking about cloud, we need to move to the cloud and all. So S4HANA is an ERP that is cloud ready. So you get the opportunity to deploy it in your traditional on-premise method if you want to, but the SAP focus and advice to organizations is to go with the cloud version. And obviously cloud enables customers to not have a lot of expenses in terms of ownership of the solution. So companies don't have to go and buy large server rooms and cooling systems and all that. They can simply just go into the SAP Cloud, provision a S4HANA ERP, and they start running quickly, as opposed to having to go and make purchases of physical infrastructure. Okay, so that's really one of the key things driving the adoption of S/4HANA. So what we are seeing now in the market is between now and 2030, companies are moving or trying to prepare to make sure that they already have S/4HANA installed by 2030, and that is when SAP will insist that the old versions should not be operated on. And obviously, you can imagine that globally, there are thousands of companies that run on SAP, and to implement SAP is quite a complex task for companies. So the demand for skill in terms of understanding what does S/4HANA provide to companies, what can it improve, what can they leverage on, that skill is still lacking. The market is busy trying to produce those skills. And so this is essentially the right time to be learning S/4HANA and being able to understand what it can provide to companies. SAP did recently, they did a study to establish if there will actually be enough global capacity to implement S/4HANA by 2030 for all companies. And they are concerned that if you look at the big four firms, which is your KPMGs and our competitors, which I will not mention in this call, as well as other big companies such as Accenture and so on, SAP did a study that there may not be enough capacity to transition all global companies to S4 by 2030. And so they are driving and supporting these organizations to produce more skills around S/4HANA. What's really also creating a gap is that you have a lot of people who have been working in the old versions, and now at this point, those skills are no longer necessarily applicable to S/4HANA. So if you knew how to do a SAP implementation 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you have to reskill, refresh yourself in line with S/4HANA, which is something that myself and my team did. So I am S/4HANA certified. I am able to go into a boardroom and talk to CFOs and CEOs and say, this is what's going to happen. Here's how you need to approach it, etc., etc. So the skill is quite lacking in that a lot of people with the old skill are rushing to get recertified and brush off on their skills. And this also gives new entrants into the market like yourselves to learn this skill and enter it right now, which is at the right space. So why is it important to learn S/4HANA, and how will it be relevant to your career going forward? The first thing, like I said, is many companies use SAP. The bigger the organization, the bigger the need to run on SAP, because other ERPs do not have the capability needed. Your large mining companies, pharmaceuticals, your ShopRites of this world, your Sasols, they all run SAP. And if you do a quick search online when you are looking for job opportunities, one of the things you will find buried in the detail is that knowledge of SAP will be an advantage for the candidate. And that's very, very important. Okay, so another thing to point out in terms of relevance to yourself learning SAP is that S/4HANA gives you exposure to various areas of the business. So you don't go in, as Shamlin shared, like a developer who sits in the corner waiting for someone to give you what you develop. It gives you an opportunity to be involved across data, across governance, across business processes. You can work and assist in finance or in procurement, even in production itself. That is the power of S/4HANA. Over the years, I've come to learn end-to-end processes of how companies actually execute the businesses. We know that in order to initiate production, you have to get your raw materials. They will get paid by finance, and then there will be a project established to fund the activities, and all of those activities. You get to learn how a large corporate functions purely by understanding how SAP works. So really learning S/4HANA is going to give you an advantage in terms of that. Another point is that SAP as a platform is a global platform. We know it originates from Germany, but the instance or the version of S/4HANA that is running in Germany today is the same one that is running in Joburg or in Durban, in Cape Town. So the skill that you acquire is essentially globally relevant. And if you look at the recent pandemic and the fact that it opened up the global job market, that means you are employable anywhere in the world with your SAP skill without having to physically go there. Then the demand for S4 skill, like I said earlier, is coming not only from consulting firms like ourselves, but also even in industry. The companies that are running SAP themselves, they need the skill in-house so that you get to have super users who can help other users across the organization and so forth. So if you multiply that, you look at all the consulting firms as well as companies that run SAP, the demand is just massive. So that's what's driving the need. And then lastly, really, big companies, they are always looking to innovate internally within themselves. They want fresh new ideas, new ways of thinking, new ways of doing things. So with your learning of S/4HANA, and then you go in and join large organizations, really they would be quite excited or looking forward to have you on board to hear your fresh perspective of how, from a digital transformation point of view, how can they leverage S/4HANA as a platform, and just to get your fresh ideas to take it forward. So yeah, I'll pause here and we can have a little bit of a discussion and take some questions going forward. Shamlin, anything else to add from your side?
No, thanks. Just looking at my camera, you can see that the sun is set in the north. Yeah, the sun is set. Sorry, Siri, can you just some feedback? Okay. Mute. Looking for a mute button. Okay, that's better. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I think thank you, Siori. That was really insightful even for me. And I think, just leaving the students, I'm not going to reiterate everything, but leaving the students with the message that the skills that you're acquiring here is very relevant. At the same token, there's many people in the job market, as you would know, and organizations are looking for the cream of the crop. They are looking for students that are getting good grades, that are able to differentiate themselves, that are showing initiative to go over and above and get certified, over and above your certification that you're going to come out from the institution with. So I really encourage you to keep working on developing your skills. That's what's going to set you apart and get you a job in the market. So I'll pause there and open the floor to any questions. Or to hand back to Dr. Govender.
COD, Shamlin, thank you so very much. My students, please take advantage. We have experts in the field. COD, I'm so happy listening to what you had to say about SAP S/4HANA. And I don't know if you noticed that in the chat, I posted the certificate that I obtained from my course last year. Now everybody knows my first name, but we are a SAP University Alliance University. So DUT, I'm just telling us a little. We belong to an alliance of all the universities that are taking SAP, and it's aligned to UCT's ISIFA program. I mentioned that on the top out there. If you can see, it says we cover the following aspects: business processes. Shamlin, you mentioned that. Enterprise system knowledge, procure to pay, accounting concepts, sales to cash, inventory management. I'd love to say that we go in depth, but you know, it's when I say we touch the surface, we have about 15 weeks in a semester. So that's as far as we go. But the certification, I don't know if I can throw in out there that maybe if you're looking for a trainer who's certified in SAP Shamlin, I'm certified. I did that. I may not have got distinctions in the course. I was just doing it out of, you know, to teach my students. I said I must have the skills, and that's why I did that course. So students, please ask Shamlin and COD any questions you'd like, especially what is the criteria to work at KPMG? What is KPMG for that matter? Or, you know, what's the salary like if you want to, or something like that, all right? So students, please ask, raise your hands, go ahead. I'll mute myself, please. Tina, are you there? Tina, Claudia?
Hi.
Yes, we're here, sir.
Yes, we
Okay.
are here, sir.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead. Who's going first? Raise your hand. Let's see. Right, go ahead. Unmute and ask your question.
Okay. This question goes to Mr. COD or to Mr. Shamlin. Since it's been known that a majority of the people that are being employed at the Big Four audit companies, is it still the same that you need to have your psycha, or things have changed?
Theory, I can take that. Yeah, that's an easy one. The answer is absolutely not. Psycha is for those that want to go down an accounting profession and eventually, you know, a chartered accountant. Within digital consulting, within our unit where Theory and I sit, I think we've only got one CA. The remaining, we've got skills that range from industrial psychologists, information technology, financial management, human resources. So it varies. Procurement specialists. Psycha is not a requirement within our world. If you want to go down the, I guess, auditing and accounting route, then yes, you know, Psycha would be a requirement at some point. Not necessarily the only requirement, though.
Yeah, maybe Shamlin, I can add to that. I studied economics. I'm not in part of Psycha. So yeah, we have a large team of people who are focused on consulting services within our advisory umbrella. And like Shamlin said, if you want to pursue the CA accounting path, that would be the expectation. If you go into our website, you will also see that it says audit tax advisory. So a large part of what Shamlin and I do sits within advisory, and that is where you don't need to be Psycha certified. Thanks.
Thank you. Excellent question. Next question. Come on, take advantage of our specialists. Go ahead. S. Zembe.
Good evening, gentlemen. I was wondering, where can one see your vacancies posts online?
Those are posted via our website, so KPMG website itself, but we also regularly post on LinkedIn. So you can go on LinkedIn and you can search on KPMG and you can see what posts are advertised. At a grad level, we will be looking at taking in grads, over the next couple of months. So, you're welcome to get in touch with us. But if you're an experienced hire, meaning that you've got work experience and you are augmenting that with this course here, there's other posts for experienced hires. But again, you're also welcome to share your CV and experience with us.
Thank you, Assembly. Next question. Hello, anybody with a question?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Go ahead.
Yes. For me, the question is on the system SAP. So in my organization, they use SAP, but since I'm not an IT expert, I'm not sure if it's different. The SAP and S4HANA, is it the same thing? Because what I've noted is that they have so many systems. So if you're saying that SAP covers like so many, it's interconnected, it has so many functions with it. So why would an organization still have Oracle and other systems in place? Thanks.
Yeah, no, good question. So I think there are many reasons why organizations would have SAP and other components. The first one is it could be legacy reasons. So you find that the organization is on a long-term journey to centralize and work with a central platform like SAP. So it's less risky for the business to just switch off everything and put everything else into SAP. And in some cases, you find that the organization needs an industry-specific functionality which you wouldn't get in a open market ERP such as SAP. So let's say you are a pharmaceutical company. SAP is not going to help you design a vaccine, for example, but it can help you with the finances and the logistics and the distribution of it. So, and again, if you are a mining company, SAP is not going to show you how to go underground and bring up coal or diamonds. No, but it can do everything else in terms of enterprise function. So that's a reason why you'd find that some companies need to have other specialized applications to execute businesses. Your other question around whether the SAP and S4HANA was the difference, essentially, S4HANA is the name that SAP gave to their ERP, their latest ERP. So if your company is running SAP, chances are they are either running the outgoing ECC, so that is the name of the ERP, or they are running this new one, which is S4HANA. But either way, they are all SAP ERP. I hope that answers your question.
And Siori, maybe just to add to what you spoke of, like SAP is really geared to some industries, where they've developed out their modules to an extent that it's very specialized. But there's another reason, and you may have heard the phrases out in the market where they talk about best in class versus best in breed or best of breed. And essentially what we are seeing in the market now is the likes of SAP, Oracle, who else is in there as a mainstream ERPs? They're somewhat under threat because they used to be this, this large system that used to be deployed across the enterprise, across every module for finance, procurement, HR, etc. And you'd have a single solution for that. And there was a power of ERP in the past. It still is, but what you're seeing coming through more these days is organizations looking at what is called best of breed, where if you want a procurement solution, so you saw on COD's slide they had Ariba, SAP Ariba. That's SAP's cloud solution related to procurement. But you got newer solutions out in the market now that are specialized. Their only, focus is driving procurement solutions, and they're very specialized. They've got great analytics, great insights, great processes, because that's all they focus on. Similarly with HR. So in procurement front, there's the likes of Coupa, HR, Workday, and we call these the new kids on the block. They are born cloud native, so they've only existed in the cloud, and they really innovate a lot, as opposed to the older technologies like SAP and Oracle, who have a legacy that they need to uphold as well. So that's also some of the reasons you might have SAP, who might be still strong in financials, but you'll have, Workday coming in on the HR side.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, my student. Thank you, Shamlin. Thank you, COD. Excellent responses. I'm so happy. I hope you're not going to charge us, Shamlin and COD. But if one of my students get on board, then there may be a recruitment fee involved. But for now, I see there's another question coming up. Hey, SMB, another question you have. Go ahead, sir.
If I may ask about your graduate your graduate program, at what salary range do you guys start to give them when they start to work with you?
Yeah, Dr. Governor, you put us in the spot.
Oops, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have mentioned that. Oh, I don't know whether you want to answer that or not, Shamlin.
Yeah, look, based on it's actually a privacy and a confidential matter between KPMG and its employees. So if you know someone that is a grad at KPMG, I'll basically indirectly be disclosing what their salary is. So unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to disclose.
I wouldn't want you to answer that. No.
But what I can say is it's a really good starting salary, probably more so than you would in other roles that you would typically get.
Okay, would they be able to buy that VW Golf, Shamlin?
I would imagine they would be able to, yes.
Oh, thank you. There we go. S. Zembi, does that answer your question? Oh, I get a laughing face, smile. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much.
Maybe you don't have to go for the Polo. You can go straight to the GTI. How's that?
maybe not the GTI, yeah.
Oh.
But Dr. Governor, maybe if I can throw out a question to the students, and while perhaps others think about questions that they might have, and really we welcome any question that you have. Is for anyone here, it's open. What do you expect from a career? What is the type of job that you are looking for in the market? And how do you view the job market at the moment? What are some of the frustrations? And yeah, but most of the primary question is, what are you going to do with this qualification that you're going to earn? What do you see yourself doing in the job market?
Students, the question is posed to you.
And that could be, to lead you on, I want to be an auditor. I want to be a tax professional. I want to go into consulting. And if it's auditing, what specific auditing? Financial auditing, technology auditing, what might that be? Even tax, tax plays a role in audits. I see a hand up.
Go ahead, T. Nampula.
Thank you, sir. Now, in terms of challenges that we are facing as graduates nowadays will be the fact that there are many people who are graduating and getting qualifications, and the job market has got lots of people working. In fact, the opportunities have decreased. So it is very, very difficult to get a job as somebody who's graduating. It's unlike before. And you really have to go out there and upskill yourself, get all the necessary, and be willing to take anything that you as a start, and grow from there. Another personal challenge that I have is that I majored in internal auditing. And then when I completed my diploma, I then went and joined South African Institute of Professional Accounting, which is SAIPA. I did the articles there, and then diverted into finance. In an accounting firm where I was doing my articles, they didn't really have auditing because they were SIPA, not SICA. So we were only reviewing the AFS. We were not really doing auditing, meaning I don't really have experience when it comes to internal auditing, which is my qualification. And then I went and did my advanced diploma, and now I'm doing my honors, still in internal auditing. So if you compare the two, and already I'm working for the department, which is the public sector. I'm already in management, which is a senior management. But when you match the two, my qualification with experience, it now differs, because I've just realized that with the current course that I'm doing, which is honors, I'm not really doing financial management, which means should a higher up position come out, like the likes of CFOs and what's not, I will not be able to compete with my fellow colleagues, since they might have financial accounting or which I will not have, since I'm majoring in internal auditing. So sometimes your qualification and your experience doesn't match when you go out there, because like I said, you have to take what's out there and work with it. For me, the journey has worked because I am where I am, because I diverted and didn't really wait for auditing opportunities to come. But moving forward, since I'm planning the future and actually planning to be CFO and getting higher, I'm in higher position, it means then I will have to branch in and try and get that qualification, which will then give me the necessary modules when it comes to financial management. Yeah, those are just a few of challenges I can mention. Thank you.
Siri, do you want to comment, or can I?
You take it, Shamlin.
Okay. So look, I think there was quite a bit that you mentioned there, and maybe you're gonna pull a thread out and give it a different context. And the good thing is that you've continually upskilled, you've continually, sought to see how you remain relevant in the workplace, and that's important. In terms of, if I just take internal audit as an example, and I talk about how the world is changing. Internal audit used to be very traditional. It used to be very, a mini audit type of a play, just largely looking at controls around financials and your systems, etc. If we consider how skills are evolving, and perhaps, if you move into a role, like you mentioned, moving higher up into a CFO role, even sort of like a chief audit executive, where you're looking and you building out the internal audit plan. The type of internal audits that we are doing these days, and it's perhaps, I'm saying this to show you that there's a different world out there versus what you might know at this point. The internal audits I've done recently is looking at contract management lifecycle. So how does an organization manage their contracts, and how do they leverage the systems around that? I've looked at a large financial services organization and looked at their banking app or the marketplace app that they've created, and looking at it from a perspective of how do they provision employee experience and how do they create a great onboarding experience. Again, nothing to do with financials, indirectly going there, but still looking at it from more a what's new perspective. I've looked at organizations and looked at their licensing, their software licensing and their contracts related to IT. We've looked at outsourcing contracts. There's various other streams, and I'm just talking from my particular experience, but the internal audit is reinventing itself outside of what is traditional now. So the type of skills that you would bring in is diverse. It doesn't necessarily go down that SICA or SIPA route. That may be in certain organizations your foot into the door, but what we are seeing now in many of the divisions is that the skills you are looking for is not your traditional skills. And I know within our internal audit team, within our tech assurance team, we're struggling because people are coming in with a traditional experience and we're looking for something different. So yeah, I'm not sure if that answered your question directly. I know I took a bit of an indirect slant to it because I think you have addressed some of the challenges that you mentioned, but also just using that opportunity to show how within each of the various functions, be it auditing, internal audit, etc., it is diversifying and looking to bring in new skills.
Oh, yes, it does answer my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shamlin. Thank you, COD. I see we have one hand up, and this is going to be the last question. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Just now, you're going to start to bill us. And my students can talk. We can talk a hell of a lot, Shamlin. And last question quickly, yes, Lengwa. Go ahead.
Mr. Shamlin, since you were talking about something different, would you consider one of the ISACA qualifications, the CISA one, would you consider that to be a very competitive one?
Yes, we would, and that's primarily within our what we call tech assurance space. They provide audit support to the audits, but they sit within advisory still, and that's almost like a seat at the table for a tech assurance team who do IT auditing. So that's relevant. But go and look at ISACA. ISACA is coming up with some new ones, new qualifications or certifications related to emerging technology. Just take a look at that. I think those are quite relevant. In fact, we are encouraging our staff to go and look at those as parts. And beyond that, just on ISACA, I do think ISACA is relevant. They've got some good certifications there.
Yeah, if I can just add there, a number of consultants in our team, they actually have CISA. So it does play an important role, especially when we are putting together an engagement team. You would also want people who know how the method of doing an assurance, whilst other team members have the technical skill of delivering. So it's really complementary in terms of skill set.
Yeah, and if you recall that slide that we had up front, the far right block was governance. And the CISA type skills plays into that governance block, which we help a lot of organizations with. Risk and compliance and governance is hot on the agenda of organizations as they transform. So, we have executives come and tell us, help us to transform. By all means, come and help us, but also help us. And they use a more flavorful language, which I'll tone down. But they say, help us to not get into trouble, in much more colorful language than that. And that's a big part of digital transformation as well.
Thank you very much. Shamlin, I'm not going to take any more questions. COD, I know you'd like to talk just like me, but we have other guests as well. Dr. Asogan Modley is waiting patiently to kind of summarize and to give you the vote of thanks. Dr. Asogan Modley, if you don't mind, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Dr. Ganda. I would have preferred Dr. Jali doing that, but never mind. Thank you very much. Thank you, colleague Shamlin and the team from KPMG for very insightful information. I think it is very clear to our students the difference in the type of graduates that you're looking for, the different type of skills and abilities that you're looking for from even in the internal auditing and related environment. And you've given them very insightful information how to plan their futures. We heard from one of our students how she was able to go through a program in internal auditing and thereafter using that as a base to then divert her studies into the accounting arena, and then she was able to get a managerial position within the accounting environment. So all students can do the same. There's opportunities available in the IF auditing arena. Internal auditing has focus in information systems as well, and then we heard about OHANA. And we heard about cloud computing as well. So students, you've had a lot of information that you normally will get from Dr. Govender, and you had more information from the accounting and auditing firm as well. So Dr. Gamda, thank you for arranging this session. Dr. Jali, thanks for making the time available. And the team from KPMG, well done. Balefenia, Shamlin, and the manager as well. Thank you so much for that. Yes, I think you've given very, very good information to our students, and I'm sure they appreciate it thoroughly. Thank you, Dr. Gamda.
Thank you, Dr. Mudli. Dr. Jali, our line manager, head of department, Dr. Suleiman, any last words from you, please?
I think nothing more needs to be said other than one final thank you to the KPMG team, and also thank you to all the students for attending and contributing so productively to the session.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, they had to because I'm going to give them marks for attendance. So.
Thank you. I don't want also to spoil this conversation, and it has been very informative. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you so much, colleagues, for attending. Hopefully, we will meet again with the team, COD and Shamlin, because really you have been very helpful to open our minds, and now we really need to think harder than before. Thank you so much. Thanks to the students also. I'll see you the other day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jali. Shamlin, with that, I would like to again express our heartfelt thanks on behalf of my students. They'll all be sending me the email after this, wanting your contact details, and they will be asking me more questions. So I know I have your cell phone number. I may just take you up on some of the questions. Shamlin COD, we look forward to more engagements, and more importantly, we look forward to a graduate recruitment program between the Durban University of Technology and KPMG. Let me put my camera on. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. I think the honor has been ours. And yes, you've got my email address and contact details. Please feel free to share that with your students as well. And anyone is welcome to get in contact. I saw he already shared his LinkedIn profile. You're welcome to get in touch with me via LinkedIn as well. Thank you.
Oh, great.
Cheers. Good evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye, Sivani. Bye, Shamlin. Thank you, Dr. Jali. Thank you, Dr. Modli. Thank you, Dr. Patel. My students can stay on if you like. We'll have a little chat. Okay. Good evening, my students. What did you think about that? Donald, you still here? Mr. Zulu? Anybody wants to share some of their thoughts?
Sir, I just wanted to say thank you for having this opportunity for us. It was very enlightening, and finding out how relevant STEP is for organizations outside our own, because some of us don't use such like such an interface in the companies we're in. But seeing how relevant it is right now and how necessary it's going to be in the industry that we're going into and we're currently in, it was enlightening. So thank you.
You made my night. Thank you, Zulu. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, it took a lot to get to where we are at this point in time, because all of you that have usernames, it actually costs licensing and the red tape that we had to go through. So that's why I want you all to take full advantage of, you know, the Zambikes example. All of you have a ZMB001. That's a username for S4HANA. It was released last year. Not well, it was a couple of years ago, but you know, the rollout has been from last year. So please take full advantage. We have notes through the SAP University Alliance. I was throwing in UCT out there. The server that they spoke about, Germany, we are logging into that server. You know, so I'm so happy and excited to be working with you guys and using this software. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Any other questions, queries, comments? I'm gonna, yes, Nvezi, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Just a quick one. I just want to know if we are interested in writing this exam, what can we do? Just a clarity on that.
Okay.
The one for SAP for HANA.
All right. Now I put in the chat the details about the examination, right? And it's a pretty tough exam. I'll be honest with you. I was aiming for 70% and I got about 60-odd%, right? And it's all multiple choice questions. It's based on the syllabus that we are covering and the what's this, the error message. And also, if you want to write it, this year, I think they're going to charge the students in euros. Last year it was free and nobody took up the opportunity. They offered us 2 licensing and nobody did. So if you are interested, you'll have to do lots of work on your own. That I can tell you. You'll have to register for the course. You'll have to, go through past year test papers, and I can help you. Like I said, I went through the course. I did a crash course as a lecturer, and I wrote the exam. Oh, and there was negative marking. That's what got me after I finished the exam. So if you are interested, let me know. I can contact ISIFA and find out what their requirements are. Dr. Jali is on board. She can sponsor you guys, and I'll try from the department side, the university side. I hope at least a few of you do that, so that you are a cut above the rest, and we can take it from there. And I promise you, I'm covering the same syllabus that's in the exam. The only thing is I don't know how the exam would be. What's the questions? Like, I can't give you hot tips like the way I will give you in the test, right? So it's left to you. It's pretty steep. It's intensive because it's like national, international standards, Okay. Does that answer your question?
Sam, since you are saying they might charge for the cost, is it possible to get the estimation of how much it will cost? So that should it happen that the university, sorry?
If you are interested, I will try my level best to get the university to pay for it. Like audit command language, you're always supposed to pay for that. Mr. Mandla sorted that out for you guys, right? So I just need the motivation from you, and I don't want a situation where students will say, oh, I'll write the exam. That's what happened last year. I did audit command language, applying filters, and they said they were going to do it. I got Dr. Jali to agree to it, and then nobody wrote the exam. So this year I thought about, I need to show you all the value of what we are doing. And ACL, audit command language, isn't part of the syllabus. SAP is. In fact, S4HANA is not part of the syllabus. When they wrote the syllabus out, it was 2016, 2017, and I pushed for S4HANA. Yes, go ahead. S and Gobo.
Yes, sir. Is the exam compulsory that we write this year or the following year?
No, the examination is not compulsory. ACL is not compulsory as well, right? You have, for ACL exams, you have 2 years to do that. Maybe they'll change it. The reason I'd like you to attempt this S4HANA SAP Alliance examination is that you get a qualification that's not just from DUT. I don't know if you saw in the chat, I posted the certificate that I got from there, where it's written, train the trainer. The exam that I wrote was to train someone else to do it and to show somebody that I have the knowledge for S4HANA. And there's one other person at the university that has it, right? Nobody else. So can you see how that separates me from the rest? I don't mean to show off and to point out to you that this is what I have and other people don't have it. But I did that so that I could teach you. So if you want to be better than your colleagues, the fellow students, then you got to show some people that I have one better than that. Listen, I didn't have to go for that. I've got a PhD, right? A doctorate. And that qualifies me to lecture to you guys at an honors and master's level. But how can I talk about S4HANA when I don't have a piece of paper next to my name about it? You see? So that's why I'm motivating you to do this to go ahead. By the way, I also posted something in the chat about my LinkedIn student. I went to check when they spoke about LinkedIn. If you notice, I put it in yellow. And you all know how I type in IT with a capital I and a capital T. That's my student out there, my former student that now has another job. And I taught her programming many years ago, and she commented that she moved up the ranks. But she got additional qualifications to get to where she is. Okay. And I just like how I'm talking to you like this, in 2 or 3 years time, you are probably going to hook up with me on LinkedIn and you say, hey, sir, this is what I did, right? I'd love to share. I love sharing good news. So I'm going to share the screen where it shows you. I just did it now, as we're talking, I introduced, I did it, right? There's the student, Tabeshni Govender. Thank you, sir. I did it. That makes my day. There's another student. I just saw that now. He's a data engineer, a former IT student of ours, right? So listen to me. I'm talking sense. I know what I'm talking about. I know how to and what it is, and you will progress. I guarantee you that. I give you my word. Okay, but you got to come to the party as well. You got to do some work too. Okay, next question. Yes, anybody with a question? Or can we call it tonight?
Yes, sir. Just a quick one. I just wanted to check, are there any more assessment that we are going to do for the module now that we are doing IT?
Yes, there will be. Chapter 3 and chapter 4, I'm going to give you a simple MCQ test, like what I did with the previous one, right? The practical work, I'm actually hoping and praying that we get to come to campus so that I could do some demonstrations with you guys. But it will be difficult for me to assess the practical component of S4HANA. I'm going to see how and what I can do. For those of you who are interested in the examinations, that's another important part of the course. But listen, I know you will pass. You will pass this course, but the certification in terms of an international certification, that's what I'm concerned about. The SAP S4HANA certification. All right. And also on your CV, when you're putting it down, you can write down exactly what I wrote down over here. You can say that the IT5 course covered business processes, it covers enterprise systems, it covered S4HANA, procure to pay, accounting concepts. That's what you can write down. But you can't write down that you passed a certified course. That's what you'll need to do with the SAP Alliance CFAP program. Okay. All right. Any more questions? One last one for the night. It's half
Sorry,
past.
sir.
Yes.
So for your recommended external exams that you're speaking about, it's ACL and yes, is it both of them? Was there one for ACL? Because I can't remember.
Right, it's ACL. Now ACL basics was so simple, right? Most of you got that, and that you can include that in your CV. The applying filters, there were a few of you outstanding, but for you, you need to do the next certification in ACL to write that exam, and that's about $400 US. Okay. Last year we got funding, everything. There were 2 students that said they wanted to do it and they pulled out at the last moment. Now, because y'all are 1 year, at the end of the year, it's over and done. I don't see you guys again. And I was disappointed in that the students felt that the DUT qualification was okay and that's it. No, they're not going any further. I want to give you something extra. You will pass this course without doing the external exams. That I can tell you, right? But I'm giving you this extra bit. Talking to Shamlin, the amount of admin work I had to do beforehand to get you involved in this. Phone Shamlin, WhatsApp him, talk to Dr. Jali, phone her, ask her to come, Dr. Modley to come, Dr. Patel to get into it. It was extra work, I thought, but it's well worth it for you guys. I'm actually sacrificing another time of lecturing with you people, but it was so well worth it. That's what I feel, So, yeah. Okay, can we call it a day out there now? It's 6:30.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. We'll call it a night. Chapter 3, I've given you those chapters. It's on the Wakelet page as well, and I've also emailed it to you. Plus, I posted it to the WhatsApp group. Go through that. I'll do that next week. The following week, we write the mini assessment. I just need 3 assessments for you guys, right? I'm telling you now, I just need 3. One is an assessment as an assignment. I just need 1 more and I'm okay. But I give more than what I need for my students, so that at the end of it all, you tell me, hey, sir, you got KPMG to come and talk to us. Wow. Just to let you know, Shamlin is my brother-in-law's best friend. That's how I got him here. Okay. So I was happy that he could join us. Oops, all this is in the recording. I should have stopped the recording sometime now. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's call it a day. Thank you, in Mshilongo. I appreciate that. Thank you. Right. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Good night. I don't know if you all want to do a screen show, a photograph. You know, we always draw a photograph.
Hi.
No. Next time. You tired. No makeup. You didn't do your hair. Okay. I don't have to hear you. I'm sorted. Right? Okay. Thank you, everybody. Good night. See you next week on WhatsApp.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
So